I'm Christine Muller. I'm from Switzerland originally. I'm happy to be here to talk with you about the environment and the International Environment Forum. The IF started in 1997. It consists of people from different faith traditions from around the world. The International Environment Forum is guided both by science and by the ethical principles of religion, specifically of the Baha'i faith. So let's take a step back and look at human history. Major transformations in human mindsets and cultures happened through the world's great religions. The Baha'i faith teaches that throughout human history, the creator of the universe has provided teachings that guide humans in their relationship with each other and with nature by sending prophets such as Abraham, Krishna, Buddha, Moses, Christ, and Mohammed. They all motivated individuals to grow spiritually and to live ethically, and they inspired new flourishing civilizations. Would we not expect further divine guidance for our age at a time when the very survival of humankind is at stake? Baha'is believe that God did indeed send us a new prophet, Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah was born in 1817 at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. He lived in Iran until the government banished him from his native country. His long exile brought him to Baghdad, Istanbul, and as a final destination to the prison city of Akko in the Holy Land. At that time, all these places were still untouched by the industrialization going on in Europe. I became a Baha'i at age 17 because the Baha'i teachings provided me with the answer about the meaning of life. However, when studying environmental issues throughout my life, I became increasingly desperate and searched the Baha'i teachings for solutions. And to my great relief, I found what I think are the needed ethical framework, the practical guidance, and the spiritual motivation to address the environmental crisis.
So my name is Laurent Mesbah. I was born in France. I studied in France and also in the Netherlands where I did my PhD. And I'm doing research also in the field of biodiversity and climate change and in the intersection between science and policy making. Science is able to tell us, looking at the physical world, where we are, how is our interaction with the rest of the creation on planet Earth and beyond. So there's so many indicators that are telling us that we are using more resources provided by the planet than we can actually, we're using more than it can renew itself. So that really means that we are running out of a lot of the resources that we're using, we as humanity. And our future, therefore, become very uncertain if we continue this current path. We're using more than one planet per year. This is also what science is telling us. So we really need to think in terms of thinking more in terms of sustainability. And so where is hope coming there? The hope is that the responsibility of us as human beings, because we have additional capacity than the rest of creation, the rest of living beings. With this additional capacity of understanding, the capacity of reasoning, here comes a responsibility. We have a responsibility. And being conscious beings and having this capacity of these spiritual capacities allow us to nurture and to consolidate our hope for the future, because there is a purpose for us on this planet. The International Environment Forum works at the international level, mainly participate quite actively with the public discourse on all these environmental questions. The question of the interaction between humanity and the rest of planet Earth. The question of sustainability, how can we achieve a sustainable and harmonious and prosperous human society? What are the elements? What are the elements provided by the Baha'i teachings, which will guide us to build a more sustainable and harmonious and prosperous society?
My name is Ian Hamilton. I'm originally from Ireland, but live in Washington, D.C. So at this most recent COP30, hosted in Brazil, I attended as a member of the Baha'i delegation, which was made up of representatives from here in the United States, also the Baha'i international community that represents the Baha'i community internationally, as well as a significant number of Brazilian Baha'is who are attending the COP, in addition to Baha'is from the UK and Australia. And really my role there was to, as I said, represent the US Baha'i community. So that was being present in a number of interfaith spaces within the COP, a number of spaces related to what came to be known as the global ethical stocktake, which is a kind of spiritual and moral equivalent to the global stocktake that happens, which is essentially a stocktake of how the planet is doing in relation to various climate goals under the UNFCCC process. So I made sure to be present in those spaces to contribute kind of principled and value-based language in those spaces, as well as build relationships with other elements of United States civil society, and because of the nature of the space, international civil society also, to really kind of build interfaith bonds, but then also wider civil society and secular bonds also, with the intention of really exploring and understanding how, as a whole of society, we can respond to the needs of the climate crisis.
And I'll be speaking about the Preparation for Social Action Program, PSA, in Colombia. So in my internship, I was there for a year in the region of Northern Cauca, Colombia. And I was working primarily with the Preparation for Social Action Program. It is designed to raise up and train members of a community to become promoters of community well-being. So this program is focused on the role that true integrative and purposeful education can play on the advancement of a community and a population. So these promoters of community well-being are individuals who are trained both in material and physical kind of knowledge of sciences, technology, math, language, and about community life processes, but also has this spiritual element of it. And all of these are helping members of a community to be actively thinking about its well-being and impelling others along this process to think critically about the conditions of their community and where they want to go. And so at the core of this program is a series of 24 texts, 7 of which are from the Ruhi Institute, the first 7 books of the Ruhi Institute's courses, and the other 17 of which are focused on these other subjects which I mentioned. And not only is this program focused on the study, but as you can see, there's a lot of practical components, service projects, investigations and research in the community, scientific experiments. And so not only is it learning and applying knowledge, but it's also helping to generate knowledge, what that looks like for that community, basically.
I live in Latvia. I'm a member of the International Environment Forum, and for the last about year and a half, I've also been serving on the board. And I originally got involved with IEF just through volunteering to participate in annual webinars to help prepare for them, give short summaries, facilitate them, and then after a couple years of doing that, was invited to join the board to help make plans and move things forward, and also to help try and build youth engagement within the organization.
I wanted to share something that is not so commonly known, and if you already know about it, you can feel free to switch off at this point. But it's something that I studied for my master's thesis, and I didn't know about until I did my master's either. But it's the concept of an energy community, which is quite popular in these days in Europe and in the UK. And an energy community is basically when individuals in a neighborhood, in a community, in a similar region or area, decide that they need to meet their energy needs by themselves because perhaps the private sector is not meeting them, their local government isn't meeting them. And so they can band together and use renewable technologies to do exactly that. And this looks like very, very different things. There's no one formula to how this could look. It could have, I don't know, solar panels installed on the roofs of your neighbors, and you're sharing the power that's generated with one another. This could be a reduction in energy bills. This could be communal electric chargers communal chargers for electric vehicles. It could be like locally sourced feedstock from farmers that they use for bioenergy that can be used to heat their homes instead of having to pay extortionate amounts to be connected in rural areas to a centralized heating system. So this concept looks like very different things using different technology, but the point of it is that people are like coming together to solve their problems themselves. So the community really builds this idea of social capital. It develops on this idea of participatory governance, where the members of that community have to make these decisions in a democratic way. Every person has a say, every person has a stake in it. Perhaps they even have some sort of like financial capital involved in it. And this is only available in certain countries where policy allows for it, because when you think about how you are able to generate that energy, first of all, obviously you need to be able to afford the technology to do that. You need to be able to generate the power yourself instead of using whichever monopoly is dominating your area. But the concept really makes energy more affordable, it makes it more sustainable, it makes it more equitable. It's a community-led approach that really inspires people to work with one another and brings those bonds closer to one another.
My name is Valarie Atwood, and I live in McKinney, Texas. So I draw from the International Environment Forum, IEF. I use that library of resources to help support and inspire what I'm doing on a local level. You have this wonderful resource, this library of resources, and we're talking even things that are applicable to the things you're already doing. Like if you're teaching children or youth, or if you're gathering together in interfaith groups or doing devotionals, that there's resources there that you can integrate into the things that you're already doing. And through that discourse with other individuals, and these are people from all around the world, these are people from different faith backgrounds, that it empowers you to want to do something. You can't just unknow it, you know? And so once you are engaging in these conversations, then you just naturally take those conversations to your community. You naturally have those conversations with your family, your friends, the people you come in contact with. You have, your resources, you have your inspiration, you start taking action, and then you've completed the whole process. You've actually taken that knowledge and put it into action.
I'm Arthur Dahl. I'm originally from California, but now living in Geneva, Switzerland. The Baha'i teachings encouraged me when I was very young and my love for nature, to become a scientist. And so I devoted the last 60 years to international work on the environment and sustainability, including helping to create the International Environment Forum. So it's a long-standing way of being of service. The IEF tries to accompany people to become more involved in issues of environment, and it is very active in what you might say public discourse. In fact, we have tried, in a sense, to, let's say, pioneer a faith-based organization accepted in the scientific community. And so we're, in fact, accredited by the United Nations as a science and technology organization. and work with the scientific community. They appreciate that our members are leading experts in the field that speak at conferences they recognize. So we have a certain reputation and an opportunity to be of service at that level. So it's a time to make sure that there's enough going on for other people that I can step down at some point and the work will continue. And so getting the message out is part of that process. And I think for anybody interested in bringing together, let's say, spiritual, ethical perspectives and the science of environment and sustainability, why not consider becoming a member of the International Environment Forum, or at least subscribing to the newsletter? It's very easy to do online, and that it's an opportunity to join over 500 other people around the world in over 90 countries to contribute to the work that we're taking forward and maybe even help us in various ways to do it better.